Good morning and welcome to Something Saturday. So I think last Saturday even, we actually used the same things that I'm going to use today. So I'm going to use the sweet jar and the jar of joy because I feel like I'm kind of stuck on them at the moment. But how cool is this? So last time I'd made, which aren't even here at the moment now, I'd made up a couple of little pots that you could put like a Ferrero Rocher into, and I had lined it with one of these, which is the Iridescent Treat Bags. And I think I mentioned the fact that I'll do something with that next week. So here we go. Next week is here. These are the Iridescent Treat Bags, and these are really tough little bags. You can't just pull it down the side. Trust me, I have tried. But yeah, they're really pretty, and they have this really cool effect on the back. So that is not, I've literally had to cut down the side of it rather than trying to slit down the side, because I tried slitting it with scissors, and you know how you get the scissors and you just expect it to run down the side. Nope, not a hope. So these little cookies are really badass. Let's pop it back into there. But yeah, they're really pretty bags, and they would be useful for all sorts of different things. However, we are going to, so I've literally just cut a smidgen off each side so that I can open it up like this. The bottom of it doesn't have a join in it. It's just literally folded. And to get this slightly crinkled effect, it doesn't work just to crinkle it like, well, it might do actually. I didn't think it did work to crinkle it like that. Well, there you go. All right, so potentially you could crinkle it like that. I'm just going to cut this off here. There we go. And I'm actually only going to use half a piece anyway, so let's see whether I can persuade it to half a piece. That's very interesting. I didn't think it would crinkle like that. And I wonder how long the crinkles would stay as crinkles if I was to leave it like that. That is very interesting. Okay, but there is an alternative. So, just going to show you the alternative, because that is what I'd actually planned my video around. Isn't it good when things just don't work out quite the same way as you expect them to? So Stampin' Up! Send us out a email every week as demonstrators, which have little hints and ideas, and this was one of the things that they showed us in it. So you can take this paper and use your heat gun on it, and it starts to crinkle up. And I feel like last time I did this, it crinkled up a whole lot more. It could have been because I'd actually been holding it in my hands rather than... I wonder if that's the reason. Let me see. Yeah, maybe that's the reason, is because I was actually holding it. Anyway, it does kind of crinkle up anyway, so... But clearly it also crinkles up that way, so marvellous! Well, there goes my video. But equally, whatever you do with it, it is really cool. I mean, if you do heat it up like that, you can sort of stick it together, and it doesn't move once it's stuck together. But I honestly now don't know which one of these to use. Okay, good. I am just going to grab out a piece of card, and I want to make sure that this is a particular size. So I want this to be 7 centimeters by 9.9. And there's a reason behind that, and potentially I probably do have some that's already pre-cut to this size. But if you have it 7 by 9.9, then you can actually layer another piece underneath it, which is 7.4 by 10.5. And the reason that you're going with those particular measurements is that you can cut an A4 sheet exactly into those measurements on both of them. So there's always a reason behind things. So let me pop this into here. So I'm just going to take that out like that. That wasn't incredibly straight, but never mind, I don't need those pieces. And I'm going to find myself a piece to go underneath. I'm actually going to focus on the petunia pop, I think. So give me a sec. So here I've got a 10.5 by 7.4. So you can see that now that's going to sit quite nicely on top of that. However, I then want to punch out. So I'm going to use my pencil because I actually want to punch out another one underneath it. And I'm hoping that this works. Didn't do this last time. I actually cut it out by hand, and apparently I'm not going to be able to do it this time either. Okay, if you want to do that, apparently you have to do it much closer to the bottom, otherwise it doesn't fit into the punch. But there is always a way around these things, and we are back to the cutter. So what I want to do is just pretty much cut it out so that in particular my jar has disappeared. Let's see whether I can. Oh, let's just move it up a fraction more. And I'm not too fussed about the lid because the lid area will get covered over anyway. So there we go. Got that. Get rid of that. And then that will now sit behind there. As I say, doesn't worry about the lid. So the next thing you also need is a piece of, I had it, window sheeting. One of those things that you lose easily. And you need your stays on. So we are then going to stamp. Let's see if it's any clearer on this. There, it is a little bit clearer on there. So when you stamp on window sheeting, you need to be really, really careful with it, because otherwise you're going to, excuse my head, it will smudge if you, what's the word? It's really slippery when you stamp on it. So you have to be really careful to keep it in exactly the same spot as you stamp it. Just going to give that a quick clean off. And we shall let it dry. Let it dry, let it dry. And we need a card base. In fact, I threw this one out, but I'm actually thinking it might be wise to keep hold of that for the time being. Because I can stamp on that and then position it underneath everything. And I was thinking it would look cool if I had the sweeties done with this. So I am going to use some petunia pop, because we are kind of going with that colour all the way. And we're just going to pop down our Petunia Pop Sweeties and clean off the stamp. Oh, I think it's going to work. And obviously that is going to be on there as well. Interesting. Hopefully this works. Okay, now we'll start layering it up. So we need to pop. I did discover that this does not want to attach to the window sheeting with this, which was really weird. I don't know why. So I've had to use this instead, which is the tape. Oh, God, where's my words? Use your words, Heather. Use your words. Tear and tape. Yes. Thank you, whoever said that. I'm sure somebody did. Probably Lindy. Okay, so we need it to be a little shorter. So I'm just going to head in here and cut off that. We don't need that piece there. And we can attach this one onto there to begin with. So let's bling in the glue mat. And there it is. Pop that down onto there so it's in the right place. That's looking good. Okay. Oh, no. Next part is this part, which I am clearly just going to use the one that I've scrunched, I think. Let's see. If I was to go with the one that I've scrunched, or if I was to go with the one that I have whatevered. Does look different. So this now just more has waves in it than, let me just show you. That's what it's initially like. Hopefully, I'm just going to stand up and make sure that you can sort of see this. So that's what it's like to begin with. That's what it's like when it's been heated. And then that's what it's like when it's been scrunched. And now I have to decide which I prefer the look of. What's that? What's that? Oh, that's a toughie. I think I'm going to go with the scrunched. Okay, so we need it to be a size that will fit behind here. So let's just trim off some of this. Oh, and unattach it from my fingers, which apparently is a little more chaotic to do. And as I say, it for some reason doesn't attach with that, so you're going to have to use your two-sided tape or your tear and tape. And we go down the side there. And down the side there. On a positive note, it should attach well to the card as well, like this. Let's just pop those pieces up. I'm going to attach a bit down the side there too. And you know what? I'm just going to attach that one up the top there. So once you've got those on, then this one will need to attach down too, because that's going to go underneath it. Lots of layers. What's the best way of doing this? All right, let's whip these pieces off, I think. And I think I'm just going to do the same thing with this one and attach it down with a bit of the tear and tape when I find the end, which apparently has, there it is. I was going to say, it's done a runner on me. So let's just go. Make sure that it's going to sit exactly in the right spot. There's that. There's that. And that. And in fact, I am going to add a wee bit more up the top here as well. Oh. And maybe just up here too, because I want it to now attach onto this one. It's all building up gradually. I like it. It's cool, that. And that is obviously going to sit onto the card eventually. But we need to do something with this. Now, the reason I chose Petunia Pop is because it just so happens that I have Petunia Pop iridescent ribbon, and I was thinking that the iridescent ribbon would go really nicely with this. So I'm going to do a little knot into the end of it and have it so that it is like that. And again, I'm going to have to use a little bit of tear and tape on the ribbon too. So, oh, see, okay. The advantage of a tear and tape on the ribbon is that it does stop the ribbon from fraying as well, which is good, especially if you got it right to the very end. There we go. So let's attach that down like that. Lots of little extra bits going on here today. And, oh, we don't have a lid. So I am just going to use this one and re-stamp the lid. I could try and stamp it onto this part, but I also know that I am terrible at lining this particular one up. So we are going to go with this one. And there it is. So this time I've actually used the lid from the Jar of Joy set rather than the Sweet Jar set. So last time I was saying how much I liked the lid on this one, but I preferred the jar on this one. So I've used the jar and the lid from this one this time because I actually started colouring in the jar on the last time I used it and thought, oh, this is really cool. I actually rather like this. So I've changed my mind about which lid I prefer at the moment. And let's, no, you know what? Let's colour it in and then cut it out. So I would like it coloured in with some nice soft colours to go with the, let's see, what have we got? Because I think, although it's got that pink in it, it's also got green and other colours as well. So I was thinking that I might be able to get away with adding, oh, that's quite pink actually. I was just going to add a few randomy colours. Maybe let's go with a little bit of blue up the top and see how that cuts out now. Apparently it's best to wait until it actually dries. So I have just discovered. And then this is going to sit directly on top of there. Oh, apparently we have a bit of thingo hanging out the side there. That's, oh. That's why it was hanging out the side there, because it attached onto the random extra piece that I had. Right, that'll do it. And let's add this lid on. So then you want to slide the lid exactly into place, because it's going to look weird if it's not in the right place. If you've got a little bit of it hanging off in the wrong, so you've got a gap, is what I'm trying to say, I think. Let's rub that off there. Advantages of the glue mat. And then this will sit onto here now, and I'm going to find something that is birthday-ish to say with it. So what have we got? Oh, happy birthday. A little treat for you. Sending a little sweetness your way. I will debate on what I'm going to put onto it and finish it off and pop it onto my blog. So there we go. That's the 2 cards I've made, and I've used this really cool stuff that doesn't have to just be a bag, clearly. It can be melted. Not quite as successfully as I melted it last time, apparently. But there you go. Thank you so much for joining me. Do come and join me next week, and check out my blog to see how I finish this card off. And I'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.